What does Ar-Rahman mean? And of course, many of you speak Arabic far better than me, so we're not going to go into the actual setup of the meaning of Ar-Rahman in colloquial Arabic, but in the understanding of, in the comparison of the other words that have a similar root word, which is coming from the root letters of Rahim, right, the womb of a mother, Rahamim, which includes the meanings of love, care, concern, love, care, concern, and affection. Right? It includes all these meanings. But you also have Ar-Rahim. What's the difference between Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim? And this is famous statement of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, where he says that Ar-Rahmanu fi dunya wa Ar-Rahimu fi al-akhirah. That Rahman is Allah's mercy that is being exposed to all of creation in this dunya. Wa Ar-Rahimu fi al-akhirah. And Rahim is uniquely exclusive for the akhirah. Another opinion of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu is Ar-Rahmanu aamatan lil-jami' وَالرَّحِيمُ خَاصَةً لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَكَانَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَحِيمًا. Rahim is specific to believers. Both of these opinions, they match, they corroborate. Because on the Day of Judgment, the only people who will have access to Allah's mercy are the believers. Whereas in dunya, everyone has access to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on the pattern of hyperbole, which of these two words are more extreme? Ar-Rahman or Ar-Rahim? And the answer is, Ar-Rahim is more extreme. Ar-Rahman, yes, is hyperbolized, but the more extreme version of it is always going to be with the Ya, Ar-Rahim, Al-Alim, Al-Aziz, which also is an indication to a hadith the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are 100 portions of mercy. Correct? How many of them are utilized for the mercy of this world? How many? One. All the mercy that we see from animals treating their children, or from us being careful when we treat the world around us, and on top of that, of course, from us having the mercy that we have for one another, all of that is 1% of the mercy that is given, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has held for us. 1% is a mother losing sleep for her child. 1% is a father doing what he does for his children. That's 1%. And where do we need more mercy? Dunya or akhirah? Akhirah. So we have 99% that's still left for us in the akhirah. That is the third concept, or the third discussion in Ar-Rahman. The first discussion was, why is this name coming as a standalone? And the answer to that is, because they questioned this name. The mushrikun of Mecca questioned the name of Ar-Rahman. So Allah answered by using the word Ar-Rahman as a standalone. Number two, second discussion was the actual structure of the word, which incorporates 3 different surahs within it. Alif, Lam, Ra, Hamim, and Noon. And the third discussion was, what is the difference between Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim? So we have all 3. Now moving forward, Allah begins the surah and it begs the question of, why would you start the surah with Ar-Rahman? And the answer that is given by Abdullah ibn Abbas is fairly simple. And it's something to reflect upon. And even if we just take this point from the entire class, it will be enough benefit for me and for all of you as well. He mentions that in this surah, Allah speaks about all of His undeniable blessings. All of His ala. And we'll speak about the word ala when we get to the verse. All of His ala and His blessings that cannot be denied. That nobody that has any level of intellect, dhul aql, will be able to deny these blessings. Because they're forefront and they're apparent and we rely upon them. No one can deny them. He highlights that each and every one of Allah's blessings is simply an extension of His mercy to us. Every blessing of Allah in our life is not because we are deserving of it, nor are we entitled to it. The blessings that Allah gives us and endows us with is simply because He loves us. Ar-Rahman, I love you. Hence I gave you the Quran. Hence I created you. Hence I gave you a solar system. Hence I gave you animals. Hence I gave you adl and justice. Hence I gave you water. Hence I gave you Jahannam. Even Jahannam and hellfire is an extension of my mercy. Because if my mercy was not there, if Jahannam was not there, then there would be no adl in this world. أَقِيمُوا الْوَزْنَ بِالْقِسْطِ would not be a possible outcome without the fear of Jahannam. We can't set an outcome without setting the correct journey for it. There can be no adl where there is no deterrent. And then he highlights, Imam Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah, there's a beautiful analysis of the words of rahmah in the Quran and how they always come attached to the most beautiful blessings of life. In the story of Zakaria alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذِكْرُ رَحْمَةِ رَبِّكَ عَبَدَهُ Zakaria. This Prophet of Allah cried and asked and begged Allah for a child for more than 40 years. And he continued asking. And Allah finally answers his dua, and he doesn't say that, remember the dua of Zakaria. He says, no, remember the love of Allah upon his slave Zakaria. That just because you asked for 40 years doesn't make you entitled to my response in the way you expect it to be. The response will be there, but the expectation cannot be that I am entitled to anything. Entitlement is the quickest cancer to remove gratitude. The more entitled a person becomes, the less grateful they become to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hence, it is so difficult for you and I to be grateful for the mundane blessings of life. Because waking up in the morning is what we're entitled to. Where the Prophet of Allah taught us the first thing we say in the morning is what? Alhamdulillahi alladhi ahyana ba'da ma amatana. So we're being grateful for something so simple. ذِكْرُ رَحْمَةِ رَبِّكَ عَبَدَهُ Zakaria. When we speak about the blessing of children, وَوَهَبَنَا لَهُم مِّن رَحْمَتِنَا. Allah says about the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, through our love and mercy, we gifted him Ya'qub and Ishaq. وَكُلًّا جَعَلْنَا نَبِيًّا. When he speaks about mercy, even in siblings, وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُم مِّن رَحْمَتِنَا أَخَاهُ هَارُونَ نَبِيًّا. That through our love, rahmah, through our love and care and affection for the slave Musa alayhi salam, we answered his dua and we gave him what? A brother in Harun to be a prophet. We understand from this as well, as Imam Suyuti rahimahullah highlights, that the rahmah of Allah and his love for us, though it is the same source, it will manifest in different ways. For some people, that rahmah will be given through children. And for others, it will be through a sibling. And for others, it will be through finance. For others, it will be through sabr. Because rahmah is all-encompassing. The love of Allah is not confined to a unique blessing. Rather, rahmah refers to every blessing that a person has. So for Ibrahim, that blessing was his children and Ishaq and Ismail. But for Musa, Allah uses the same word and says that your blessing was your brother Harun. The source was the same, but the application changed. When we make dua for hidayah, what do we say? What's the dua for hidayah? وَهَبْ لَنَا مِن لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْوَهَّابُ. The greatest sign of Allah's love for an individual, as mentioned by Abdullah ibn Abbas under this verse, is that He allows us to have tawfiq towards good. Having the ability to do an act of goodness is a sign of Allah's love for me. That since Allah loves me, He allows me to obey Him. It's a sign of Allah's ridha with me that He allows me to bring His obedience into my life. All of this is associated to rahmah. قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا. So the start of Surah Ar-Rahman is not a coincidence. Allah begins the surah to simply set something straight with all of us. That the mindset and the mentality of you, my slaves, is to understand that you and I, all of us creation, are not necessarily entitled to anything. Every blessing that I will mention is an extension of my love for you. And because Rahman includes Muslims and non-Muslims, every one of us are able to benefit from these blessings equally, have equal access. أَلَا إِنَّ الدُّنْيَا عَرْضٌ حَاضٌ يَأْكُلُ مِنْهُ الْبَرُّ وَالْفَاجِرُ. Everyone has access to these blessings. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins by mentioning that Ar-Rahman. And then He turns towards the first of these blessings. عَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنِ. The first of these blessings, He says, is He taught the Qur'an.